We just got a brand new Avengers Doomsday leak today, and if this is even remotely accurate, it completely changes how we understand the opening of this movie, Steve Rogers' role in it, and a teaser Marvel Studios already teased. And here's the wild part, this single report may quietly reveal what's really happening with Doom, with Loki, and why Doctor Doom might not look like the villain at all when this movie begins. Because if there's one thing Doctor Doom has always been, it's sneaky, manipulative, always 10 steps ahead, and Avengers Doomsday might be setting him up as the hero on purpose. Alright, let's break this down. This new report comes from My Time to Shine Hello, and if you remember, just recently there was another leak tied to the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, the one where we see the Fantastic Four ship entering the MCU. That earlier report claimed that Doctor Doom was actually on that ship with the Fantastic Four. Now this new report goes even further. According to My Time to Shine Hello, Thor and Steve Rogers are already on that Fantastic Four ship with Doom before it even arrives in the MCU. Thor and Steve. This alone is insane, and immediately this changes how we might be looking at the beginning of the movie. Because if Thor is already on that ship, that probably means Doom has already been to Earth 616. And that's where things get very interesting, because I think Doom is actively framing Loki as the villain while positioning himself as the hero. And that makes perfect sense, because Doom needs Loki's throne, Doom needs control of the multiverse. So the plan isn't brute force, the plan is manipulation. Let's talk about Steve Rogers, because this is where things get wild. When Marvel released the first Steve Rogers teaser for Avengers Doomsday, a lot of people, including myself, started questioning something immediately. That person walking up to Steve and Peggy's front door, a lot of us don't think that's Steve Rogers, we think it's Doom, and now I believe that even more. This theory has been floating around online for a while, but The Direct has recently published an article that breaks it down really clearly. They point out that after the shot of Steve getting off his motorcycle, we then see a tall figure walking up the stairs toward the front door of Steve's house. Originally everyone assumed it was Steve, but here's the detail that changes everything. Steve is clearly wearing blue jeans in the motorcycle shot, but the figure walking toward the door appears to be wearing much darker clothing. That pants look black. You can see a knee bend confirming it's the lower half of someone else. And yeah, it could be lighting, but it really doesn't look like bright blue denim. The rest of that teaser is happy. Steve has a wedding ring, we see him with his baby. So why would he approach his own house in this ominous, shadowy way? It doesn't fit. And if you look closely at the reflection in the door, it looks like someone else is wearing a suit. That's why I genuinely think this is Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom. I think Doom goes to Steve not as a villain, but as a savior, and this lines up with previous reports that Tom Hiddleston also filmed scenes at the same house. So we know Robert Downey Jr. filmed at Steve's house, Tom Hiddleston filmed at Steve's house. That can't be random. Now think about this from Steve's perspective. Steve remembers Loki as the villain, that's it. He has no knowledge of Loki season 1 or season 2, neither does Thor. Our Loki, the 616 Loki, is dead. Thor knows that. So when Doom shows up, he gets to tell the story however he wants. Doom explains the multiverse, variants, threats, but he's not going to play it off like he's Tony Stark. Tony died, everyone knows that. John Campea recently mentioned that we don't even find out why Doom looks like Tony until Avengers Secret Wars, which is kind of fascinating. So Doom doesn't pretend to be Tony. Instead, he says the multiverse is in danger. It's being ruled by Loki. He controls the TVA, and suddenly Loki is the villain again. Doom leans into everything Steve already believes. Loki is the god of mischief, master of deception, tried to take over New York. You fought him, you know who he is. I'm the good guy. Come with me, and Steve goes. Something similar likely happens with Thor, but Thor's path is a bit more complicated. Because for Doom to get to Thor, he likely has to go to Earth 616, then Earth 828, and then back again. And that tells us Doom is moving a lot between universes. There are multiple reasons why Doom would return to Earth 616 repeatedly. The 10 rings, Kamala Khan's bangle, and Captain Marvel's matching one, Vibranium, because Vibranium absorbs magic, and Doom needs that. We've already seen Wakanda and Talocan both rich with Vibranium. In the comics, Doom constantly tries to take it, and this matters. Now let's talk about Thor's daughter, Love. She was given power directly by Eternity. I think Doom targets Love, but he doesn't fight Thor, well, not yet, because Doom doesn't want to be seen as the villain, not yet. Instead, he invites Thor, shows him another universe, shows him Steve Rogers, and suddenly Thor feels safe. Now, Steve and Thor are together again, both from 616. Familiar faces, shared history, and both believe Loki is the villain. That's how Doom earns their trust, and that's likely how Avengers Doomsday actually begins, which is not how most of us expected. We've heard multiple reports now that for 40 to 50% of this movie, Doom is seen as the hero, not revealed as the villain to the characters until halfway through. That's when things explode. Avengers vs X-Men, Fantastic Four vs X-Men, total chaos, until everyone realizes, wait, we're not the enemy. And that's when Loki intervenes, sending Deadpool, Wolverine, other multiversal Avengers, explaining the truth. Loki isn't the villain, he is holding the multiverse together. Doom is the one tearing it apart, because Doom wants control. By then, Doom already has what he needs: vibranium, possibly Franklin Richards, maybe love, and that's terrifying. Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus recently mentioned something very interesting. According to him, the anchor being concept isn't really used in Avengers Doomsday. It might be implied, but not central. And honestly, that might be okay. It mattered for Deadpool and Wolverine, but Doomsday doesn't really need it. Secret Wars might, rebuilding the universes, rebuilding the multiverse. That's where anchor beings could return. Reed, Franklin, the Future Foundation. That's likely where this all leads. And while we're on the subject of where all of this is heading, there's also been some rumors and chatter online lately about the actual plot of Avengers Secret Wars that I thought were really interesting, especially when you connect them back to Doomsday. Apparently, Secret Wars is rumored to take place 8 years after the events of Avengers Doomsday, which would confirm that there's a pretty significant time jump between these two movies, and honestly, that alone changes how you look at Avengers Doomsday, because it means whatever happens there doesn't get immediately fixed. The fallout lasts. Now, some of these rumored details are kind of wild. One of the big ones is the possible return of the Infinity Stones, or at least one specific Infinity Stone, used for a very specific purpose. And that's interesting because it doesn't sound like a full reset where all the stones are suddenly back in play. It sounds more targeted, more deliberate. There's also talk that the movie really leans into the time gap between Doomsday and Secret Wars, showing us how the multiverse and the characters have changed over those years. And again, this is where everything starts to feel pretty big and really messy in a good way. Now, like always with leaks and rumors, take all of this with a grain of salt. None of this is confirmed. But if even parts of this end up being true, it really reinforces the idea that Doomsday isn't the end of the story. It's the breaking point that Secret Wars has to deal with years later. Marvel Studios recently revealed official artwork at an event in Japan approved by Kevin Feige. It showcases the leading heroes of the MCU, not specifically Doomsday, but Phase 6 energy, and it's stacked. Shuri, the General of Dora Milaje, Hulk, Bucky, Scarlet Witch, please let her return, Doctor Strange, Vision, Iron Man and War Machine, Ant-Man's entire family, the Fantastic Four, Sam Wilson's Captain America, Yelena, Deadpool, Wolverine, Thor, Loki, Guardians of the Galaxy in the background with Star-Lord front and center, which lines up perfectly with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3's ending. The legendary Star-Lord will return. So yeah, this report changes everything, especially that first teaser, because I'm now more convinced than ever that figure at the door, that's not Steve Rogers, that's Victor Von Doom. Let me know what you think about all of this. What do you think about Doom being framed as the hero? What do you think about Loki being misunderstood? How do you feel about that MCU artwork? Post all your thoughts, theories and reactions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe and ring the notification bell to get alerts for all my videos. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.